Happy New Year, house lovers. 2020. I feel it's going to be a great year. 2 zeros, 2 noughts. Much to happen. A lot to happen in this house, although it does seem somewhat glib to be talking about this house when so many people are losing theirs at the moment with all these terrible fires that are raging around the country. So, just as an aside, the organisations that I've been supporting are Wildlife Victoria. There's also versions of them in New South Wales, in South Australia, in Western Australia, Tasmania, all around the country, in fact. Greening Australia, for their program for reforestation around the country. And the Red Cross, which are helping people in the moment on the ground. And the Children's Music the Children's Music Foundation, which is an organisation that gives access to children affected by drought and bushfires, access to musical instruments and music lessons, which I think is a beautiful thing and often forgotten of in these times of crisis. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. So I just hope that the season pans out well. Back to me, which seems very self-indulgent, but today we are chopping down trees, which also seems awful given the climate change issues, largely due to deforestation. However, the 4 cypress trees that are at the front were planted, I don't know, maybe 40 years ago. The wrong trees for that part of their garden, and they've been lopped off at the top. They're blocking all the sunlight, they're an evergreen, they're draining the front garden of water. So they have got to go. No one likes chopping down trees, particularly at this point in our environmental crisis. However, these 4 have to go. Needless to say, we are going to be replacing them with more trees dotted around the place. But yeah, these are just the wrong trees in the wrong spot. So out the front, Cameron is chopping them down. Let's go and see how he's going. These are our condemned cypress trees. No one likes chopping down a tree, but these are going to go. And this is Cameron. Cameron is our nephew, and he is doing this work for us because he is a landscape gardener and a very skilled man. Thanks, Cam.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Ta-da! There we go. There is our front garden without the choppy cypress trees. Alas, they've gone to a better place. And let's talk about green waste. What I have discovered is the City of Melbourne has a free green waste pickup service, and they are going to remove all my faggots. Google that before you express your outrage. Here we are in the endlessly glamorous Schapelle Corby Memorial Courtyard, and one of the questions is, what are we going to be doing with the house to make it sustainable, I suppose, and environmentally friendly? So one of the things we're doing is we're going to be capturing the water from the roof, and on the floor right beneath us we are going to be sinking 2 huge tanks, plastic tanks, but big tanks, underneath the hopeful extension, subject to council approval, and we will then capture the rainwater from the roof into the tanks below, and we can use that tank water to water the garden that is going to be replacing the one that Cameron is chopping off as we speak. And while we're in the Schapelle Corby Memorial Courtyard, why don't we check out my Schapelle Corby Memorial tile work from last week. And so here I am in the Schapelle Corby Memorial bathroom, and I want to try and take off these tiles and save them because they're kind of Prada cool. Let's see. Success. They are all individually laid, which means I can take them off, clean them, and we can save them and use them somewhere else. Magic. And here are some words of wisdom from the previous owners. Make sure all taps are closed, probably, which sounds like a philosophical riddle. All the Schapelle Corby Memorial tiles have come up really easily, and I will be able to patch them all together and make the same pattern somewhere else. So keep watching. Maybe in 18 months' time we can see where these end up. So now the trees are gone, what's the plan? Well, the idea is to create a little green oasis here and in the courtyard at the back with judiciously chosen things which are going to be green and lovely. One of the first things I've got to do though is dig up these agapanthus and put them in a pot for a rainy day, and then deal with the topsoil. 20 years of all of those pine needles accumulating has created about 15 centimetres of very acidic topsoil, which I am going to be very butch and dig out, get rid of, and replace it with all manner of delicious compost things. So I've got to get me some alpaca poo. They say it's the most nutritious poo in the world. I know you're beside yourselves wanting to know what the plan is with the garden below. I'm upstairs on the first floor in Suite 6, which is not the Pawn Suite, that's the presidential suite across the hall. So once I have removed my 25 centimetres of acidic topsoil and replaced it with alpaca poo, I will be in a position to plant some things-ish in the garden. Garden, it's really two narrow beds, but it will be the shrubbery, the acreage, about which you can take a turn in an Austen-esque fashion. And the theme is going to be Prada. Yes, it's going to be vulgar. A vulgar Prada garden. So, to explain, Madame Prada would often use two clashing colours in her collections, and that is what I am going to do in the front. My clashing colours are going to be flowering things that are purple and flowering things that are yellow. Strong colours work well in Australia, and I think it will look fantastic. So watch this space on that. One of the things I want to plant down there is a small deciduous tree called a laburnum, which has yellow pendulous flowers, which I will show you here. Quite a rare and unusual tree, don't often see them in Australia. The seeds, alas, are toxic or highly poisonous, but what in life isn't at some degree, so let's forgive ourselves that and move on. And oddly enough, it was the tree that my mum chose for the memorial for my brother and father who died many moons ago. That's in Coventry in England, and I think it'd be a nice idea to have an Antipodean cousin in our front garden, which over time will grow up here, dapple its leafy shade across our front, drop its leaves in winter and allow the sunlight through, and in spring we'll be able to see the beautiful pendulous yellow flowers from up here in the living room, to be subject to council approval. It may well take 35 years to get that big, but I'm here for the long haul. Anyway, that's the plan with the garden. What do you think? Actually, I don't want to know. Let's just see how it pans out. There we are, house lovers. Episode 3 done and dusted. Thank you to Cam for chopping down the trees in the front with such care and sensitivity. I didn't hear a cry. Next week, stay tuned, because I had some special guests through to help me with some of the detective work about materiality. I was doing some judicious scraping and poking and stripping, and we found out what some of the materials are for the mantelpieces, some of the history of the finishing, and just some general feedback, I guess, about the historical overlay of the house, which is very interesting and is going to inform some of our decisions and decorating ideas, I suppose, as we move forward. So there we go. Thank you. Happy New Year 2020. Remember, it's symmetrical. Nothing can go wrong. And I'll see you soon.